In this video lesson, we are going to focus on rounding multi-digit numbers. We round for many reasons. For example, we may not know what the exact number is, so we need to find an estimate. Or, what if the exact number isn't important for what we're doing? Then just round. Or we may need a quick way to figure something out. Rounding is an important skill that we will be using in the next unit when we are estimating. So let's find out how we can make it easy. When rounding any digit, follow these steps. First, I want you to underline the place value you're rounding to. So if it says round to the nearest hundred, underline the hundreds place. If it says round to the nearest thousand, we're going to underline the thousands place value. Next, you're going to look to the digit to the right of the underlined number. Okay, so if we've underlined the hundreds place, we're going to look to the right of it, which is the tens place. If that digit is less than the number 5, the underlined number stays the same and the numbers to the right become zeros. If that digit is 5 or more, the number underlined rounds to the next numeral and the numbers to the right become zeros. I know this is a lot of steps, but we're going to do a few examples and it's all going to make sense to you. For our first example, we are rounding the following numbers to the nearest 100. Okay, so we want to round to the nearest 100. So let's look at the first one. So we've got 3,678. Well, our first rule tells us we need to underline the place value we're rounding to. So I'm going to underline the 6, which is in the hundreds place. Next, I'm going to look at the digit to the right. And I've highlighted the digit to the right. The digit to the right is bigger than 5, so we are going to round our hundreds to the next numeral up. So the numeral that comes after 6 is 7, so we're rounding it up to 3,700. And remember, the numbers after the hundreds place become zeros. Okay, so that's very important to remember. Let's look at the next example. We've got 14,502. So I'm going to underline the hundreds place. And I'm going to move over and look at the numeral to the right, which is a 0. And our first bullet in the last slide said, if it's less than 5, then our number in the hundreds place stays the same. So our answer here is going to be 14,500. So notice that we didn't round the hundreds place down, it stayed the same. Okay? Let's look at the last example on this slide. So we want to round 38,453. So once again, I'm going to underline the hundreds place value. I'm going to look to the right one digit, and I notice it's 5 or more. And remember, if the digit to the right is 5 or more, then we're going to round up to the next hundreds place value. So the next hundreds place value in this example would be 38,500. And notice how the last two digits in each of these examples were rounded to zeros. In this next example, we're going to round the following numbers to the nearest 1,000. I'm going to put a box around that so we don't forget what we're rounding to. And let's look at the first example. 52,199. So step 1, I'm going to underline the thousands place value. Step 2, I'm going to look to the one digit to the right, which is the hundreds place. And now I'm going to determine whether or not I'm rounding up or if it stays the same. Since that place value in the hundreds is less than 5, it's a 1, My thousands place stays the same. I don't round up, so my final answer is 52,000. And notice the zeros after the thousands place value. Number 2, 3,570. So I'm going to start off by underlining the thousands place value, which is a 3 in this case. I'm going to highlight the hundreds place value, which is a 5. So that 5 tells me that I am rounding up to the nearest thousand. And our final answer is 4,000. Finally, the last one. It's a big number. 837,440. So I'm going to underline the thousands place, which is the 7. I'm going to highlight the hundreds place value to the right. And I notice that it's a 4, so I'm not rounding up. My thousands place stays the same. And my final answer is 837,000. Aren't we having so much fun? Let's do a couple more examples. Example 3, round the following number to the nearest 10,000. So once again, I'm going to put a box around that so I don't forget what I'm rounding to. And ooh, that's a big number. So let's say this number out loud. 4,421,067. So the first thing I'm going to do is give myself a pat on the back for saying such a big number. Good job. Next, I'm going to underline the 10,000s place, which happens to be this lovely 2. The next step is we're going to look at the place value to the right, which is the thousands place. And I notice that it's less than 1, which means that I don't round up. So my final answer here is going to be 4,420,000. And there we have it. We have rounded this big number to the nearest 10,000. Example 4. Round the following number to the nearest 10. Okay, so now we're rounding a big number to a smaller place value, which we can do as well. So this number is read as 231,984. Step 1, I'm going to underline the tens place. Step 2, I'm going to look 1 to the right. So it's the ones place value. And I notice the 4 is not greater than 5, so I'm not rounding up for this example. So my tens place stays the same, and my ones place becomes a 0. So 980. My final answer, rounded to the nearest 10, is 231,980. It's time for you to practice rounding to nearest place values in your learning guide. I hope you have as much fun as I did in this one.